Hello, everybody. You're listening to The Writer's Journey. I'm your host, Pastor Alfred. The Writer's Journey is a broadcast series that briefly highlights certain portions of books that I've written or I'm currently writing that are beneficial to writers. Today, I'd like to talk about constant visibility. Let's look at the book of Genesis chapter 26. I'm reading from verse 12 to verse 14. Then Isaac sowed in that land, and received in the same year an hundredfold. And the Lord blessed him. And the man waxed great, and went forward, and grew until he became very great. For he had possession of flocks, and possession of herds, and great store of servants. And the Philistines envied him. Praise the Lord. You see that in this portion of the scripture, the Bible tells us that when Isaac sowed, when Isaac walked, he was a farmer. He sowed. When he sowed, he reaped a hundredfold harvest. You see. And God blessed him. And he waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. As he was getting great and getting richer, guess what? Everybody was noticing him. Everybody around him was noticing him, including the Philistines, those who were not well-wishers of his. They saw his growth and his increase, and they envied him. In this day and age, if you are a writer, you are also building your brand as a writer. And like Isaac, you need to be in the constant eye of people. And like Isaac, you need to be someone whose relationship with God is right. So God will bless you and you will become great and wax greater and greater. That is how your writing career should be. It should be a life of going from glory to glory, from success to success, from victory to victory. You should be climbing up the staircase. As you are building a following and building a customer base, you are also proving your worth as a writer and also increasing the people that are observing you. Those who like you and those who do not like you, even those who wish for your downfall, they should see your greatness in your writing career as you keep moving forward. There is that constant visibility that is needed. There is that constant visibility that should be there. And also, when they look, they should see a constant increase. They should see a constant rise. That means that you need to be in the eye of people, both friends and enemies, those well-wishers and those who do not wish you well. You need to be in their eye. And that is one thing that is so important in this day and age of internet marketing. Because you see, if you, for example, write novels, you are a fiction writer, you write novels. Naturally, that is a medium of writing where you can at most write and publish 2 books a year. Some publish just once a year. Back in the day, a lot of novelists, even though they wrote every day, they could only publish a new novel once a year or once every 5 years or once every 2 years or something like that. You see, however, we live in a day and age where you must have constant visibility. And it is also important that this scripture I read pointed out that your progress is constantly visible to all. You see, it's very important and it helps with the brand. So you must understand that in this day and age, when people lose sight of you, there are a lot of other people that will replace them. That will replace you. What I mean is that, let us say that you are popular, or you are trending, or you have met a certain measure of success and people have noticed you. If you back down and people lose touch with you do not have that visibility, you can easily be replaced in the minds of most people. Not all, you see, but you would lose a certain following if you do not have that constant visibility. Because all that while that you are invisible, somebody else, they'll have to look at somebody else, and there are many people who will want that spot and who will serve in that spot, So you must consider the aspect of constant visibility. If you are writing novels, you publish a novel, you cannot wait till the next novel before you promote it and get yourself out there in the public eye. You should have something that, as a writer, keeps you constantly visible. I know a lot of people use Twitter as a way of being constantly visible. A lot of writers use Twitter and social media sites. But you see, the problem with sites like Twitter and social media sites is that they do not let you show off your talent or what you really do. You see, Twitter is limited to a certain number of characters per tweet. You cannot write an article or a book or anything engaging. You see, tweeting is not what you do. You write books, you write novels. And I'm using the example of a writer who writes novels. You see, so how can your tweets keep people engaged? They may keep people engaged about short quotes or certain things about your personal life, but that is not what attracted people to you in the first place. They came because of your novels. So I would say that it is better you have a blog, you see, and then if you must, you can then have everything you post on your blog be links on Twitter. In other words, the links and the pictures and the featured picture of the blog post will be on Twitter, so people can click the links on Twitter and it goes to your site or to your blog. But the main thing is your blog. Now, in your blog, there is more space for you to actually show off and actually do the same thing that attracted the people to you and what you are really selling, because you are selling yourself as a writer and you are selling your ability, your literally ability, which there is no space for on a Twitter post. You see, so you must keep that in mind. A lot of writers go into the problem of doing something else on their Twitter. They don't really see that what you are really doing on your Twitter is, at best, if people are following you on Twitter, but what you really do is write novels and you are posting about your personal life, they are actually following your personality. It's like a reality TV show kind of thing. They are following your personality, and what you do and the kind of person that you are, you see, and the daily updates in your life. That is what they are following. They are not following you, the author. They are not following the author in you, you see. And that brings us to what will be the content of your blogs. Since you write fiction, naturally, it is best that you stick to topics on fiction. You can give teasers about what you are currently writing or what you plan to write. You can give sneak peeks in your blog. You can review other people's books. You can talk about books that you are reading. But you see, whatever you are doing on your blog post, it should show off your ability, your talents as an author, because that is what you are actually trying to build. You are not trying to build a different reason for people to follow you or to come to see what you are doing, because you are not selling that. You are not selling your personality in the sense of you do not have plans of having your own reality TV show later. So why build that aspect? You see, in other words, now, for example, let's say you are a very good author but your real life is not that interesting. How can your Twitter timeline be that interesting since you are tweeting about your life? However, if you are tweeting things that are interesting and all of that about your daily life, what relationship does that have to do with the books that you write? You see, it's not linked. But then that brings in the concepts of co-branding. Now, co-branding is when one brand associates with another brand and shares the advantages and the reputation of one brand leaks into the other because of that association. Basically, that is what co-branding is. For example, it is done a lot in the music industry. When a new musician signs to a record label and they are about to release an album, they often have songs that feature already established musicians that already have a large fan base. You see, and the reason for that is so that those the fans of the established musicians would also seep into and also look at what this new musician that just got a record deal is doing. It is done a lot of time, and that is co-branding. And a lot of people, when they see their favorite established musician that has been bringing out the hits for years, when they see him with a new artist on a song, they then assume, wow, this new artist is probably as good, or is probably not necessarily as good, but it is kind of like an authentication, like this person is good too, this person makes great music too. You see, it adds also, and it also takes makes the fan base of this person look into this new artist. And then now we now have a fan base that now buy albums from the original, from the established artists, and also are going to become most likely fans of the new artist and also buy records from the new artist, and that is good for the record label. So co-branding is something that is done a lot. Now, if you are doing different things, something that is different from the main thing that you do, or the main category of books that you write, you know, like building a followership based on your personality, which has nothing to do with the kind of books that you put out that you then sell, you must then know that you should, it does has its advantage, because some people will come over to the book side, but it's most unlikely because it's a different thing altogether. You know, the people who are following you for your personality, and then the people who are following you for your books. You see, sometimes it can seep through, but you must understand that it is the books that you are selling. Your books are actually a product that you are selling, but you have not yet created any product or any offering to sell to those who are following you for your personality. So if you wish, you might think of what kind of products can you create and package for those who are following you on social media and your blog or whatever for your personality. So those are two different things that you must look into and consider. You see, but you must have that constant visibility. Like I said, in the case of somebody who is writing novels, you can't just put out a novel every day or every week. You know, that is something that has not yet been done before. It may be done by someone in the future, you know, and it's something that will require a lot of talent and a lot of intelligence for it to be pulled off. But that is not the schedule of that person who writes novels, and so far nobody has done it. However, you need to have that constant visibility, you see. So you must look for ways to create constant visibility and let people see your advancement and your progress in what you are doing, which is writing, and writing for that gender. If you are writing non-fiction, that is even easier. Then you can have a blog that deals with that non-fiction category, or a variety of non-fiction categories that appeal to you. You see, so blogging is extremely important for every author. An author who does not blog is not really serious about constant visibility and really building on themselves. You see, there are a lot of people who will buy your books as a result of your blogs, And this goes beyond written blogs. Even though that cannot be neglected, video blogs are included, but written blogs is a must, because when people buy your books, they are not buying videos of you, they are buying what you have written. So written blogs is a must for every author, and you must know how you will have a good update schedule, whether it is daily or weekly. I recommend daily. Even though everybody may not read your blog daily, but try to make it daily, or at the very least weekly, once a week. But that is very important. When you have a schedule, stick to it and let people know what that schedule is. Let those who subscribe to you and those who are your readers, let them know who your how your schedule is, your posting schedule is. You must also know that subscribers, those who subscribe to your sites, are more important than followers. If you have 1 million followers on Twitter or whatever, and you only have 20,000 subscribers on your sites, you see, those 20,000 subscribers are more important than the followers. A lot of people have gone into the mistake of saying they're obsessed with followers, and followers is something that is always seen and always visible and is looked at as a gauge. There are a lot of people who rank people and rate people based on their followers. Even in the business, there are a lot of agents, book agents, that when you talk to, they will want to look at how many followers you have, you see, and all of that has become so important. However, you must keep in mind that it is your subscribers that is what you really have. Your subscribers belong to you. Your followers belongs to the social media company, you see, because they can limit and they can determine to what extent what you share is delivered to them. If you have 20 million followers, Facebook admits that it will only let less than 10% of that see your posts. You will have to advertise, pay Facebook advertising for your own followers, for the rest of your own followers, for the over 90% or 90% of your own followers to see your post. Isn't that highway robbery? Imagine if they were your subscribers. Then you are sure that 100% of them, it is in their email. Whether they see it or not is a different matter. But it was sent out to 100% of them. You see, so you must understand that. And if you're on social media, rather than do not waste money advertising your social media profiles. Never do that. That is just a con. You see, because the social media companies are not fair. And they can cancel your accounts, just like the way they have cancelled a lot of conservative accounts. The fact that they think that they can control what you say and they can ban you because of so-called hate speech or having views that does not agree with them and things like that, that is a big warning sign that shows you that when you are on social media, you do not own your followers. Your followers do not belong to you. They are not really your followers. They actually belong to the company, because the company determines who among your followers see your videos, if they will ever see it, and the social media company can always kick you off the platform, and there are a lot of different shady things they do, which should be illegal. So you must know that what you really have and what you should focus on is on your subscribers. One subscriber is better than 100 followers, you see. And on social media, if you're on social media, it should all point towards, all that you are doing should be pointing people to subscribe to your site. And your site and whatever you offer should be more than what is gotten on social media. So your social media should be used as a means of advertising your site, but you should not look at it as your site. A lot of people look at their social media profile as their sites, as their way of people following them and keeping in touch with them and doing all the things that a site should do for them. No, that is not what your social media profile should be for. Your social media profile should point to your site. Your site is your own. Your site is more important than a social media profile. And in case you haven't thought about it quite yet, your social media profile is on somebody else's site. Twitter is a site. Twitter is just twitter.com. It is a site called twitter.com that also has an app. You already have a site, but you look down on your site so much and you place Twitter sites on a higher pedestal. Why don't you work on your own sites and then have an app for your own sites? You must understand that Twitter is your competition. You see, it is just a website, just like your website is a website. It has an app, you may not have an app. The fact that it allows people to create profiles doesn't make it any more better than your own site. You can also allow people to create profiles and post their own content under their own profiles on your own sites. And that is real. You can use BodyPress to do that on any WordPress site. And there are a lot of different means to make that happen. So you must really understand that Twitter is not really your friend. You know, it is not part of your company. It is not your company. It is not something that belongs to you. It is your competition. It is your site's competition. People can either type twitter.com in a search bar or address bar, or type yourname.com in an address bar. So it's up to you. You must really understand the truth. And you must know that your site is the most important thing when it comes to what you have and what you are actually trying to build online. So keep that in mind. It's very important. Let us look at the book of Matthew chapter 6 verse 15. I read, "Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven." You see, God is saying, let your light so shine before men, that they should see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. This goes into constant visibility. God wants people to constantly see your light shine. In the same way, as an author, your lyrical prowess and your lyrical talent and what you are doing should always shine. So you cannot leave spaces of 1 year or 2 in between novels that you write. Your light should be constantly shining. So people should always see the glory and the advancements that you are making. They need to see God's work in your writing career, in your career as a writer. You see, and that's where blogging and a variety of different things that would actually show off your your literary prowess, you see, will do. It's very important. Let us look at Proverbs chapter 4 verse 18. I'm reading from the King James Version of the Bible. "But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day." Praise the Lord. You see, this says the same thing. The path of the just is like a shining light that shines brighter and brighter unto the perfect day. When it's shining brighter, those who are around are seeing it. You see, everybody is seeing that your path is becoming brighter. So that is how your writing career should be. And it should have that constant visibility so that people can gauge that, you are shining brighter today than you did yesterday. You keep shining brighter and brighter and brighter. They must see your career advance. And that is why constant visibility is of great importance. And this means that, let us say, for example, you're a fiction writer, you write novels. Okay. You can start a fantasy comic strip that is daily or weekly. So that way, it shows off your writing ability, and you can hire an artist to do the drawing for you. You see, or even ask for an artist among your fans to volunteer, and you guys share the revenue based on ad views or whatever arrangement that you choose to make. And there's also the possibility of you drawing yourself. You see, you drawing the art yourself. But you see, even though that is not novels, that still shows off your ability as a writer to write fiction. And it also gives you that visibility. You see, and another thing is that when you have a platform like comic strips and comics, you must understand the value of people knowing who the author is and what the author looks like. People knowing you, because you are not really selling the comics strips. What is most important for you to sell is you, the writer or the creator of the comic strip. You are trying to sell your ability and your name and your brand. You know, what you have to offer. It is mostly about you. Look at Stan Lee. Stan Lee, who passed away a little while last year. A lot of people know him. This is the guy that created Spider-Man. This is the guy that created X-Men. This is the guy that created a whole bunch of comics that have become money makers for decades. Why do people know Stan Lee? Because right from time, Stan Lee put himself out there as, I am the one who created Spider-Man. I am the one who created X-Men. I am the one who created Incredible Hulk. He was doing interviews. A lot of comic book creators and artists didn't do those interviews. They didn't come out in the public. They didn't let people see that it was them. They just created the comic and it sold. There are a lot of other comic books. Like, if I ask you who created Batman and what does he look like, you do not know. You see, there are a lot of popular comics, even comics and web comics today, like Calvin and Hobbes and For Better or For Worse and Garfield. Most of all these comics, a lot of people read them every day. Some, especially children, they read them every day. But if the creator of that comic passes them today, they wouldn't know. They don't know what they look like. But you can see in the case of Stan Lee, what really puts Stan Lee apart, it is not about how great his creations are, because a lot of other people created a lot of great characters. You see, but you see, he was known. Let us look at something like Sherlock Holmes. A lot of people know that Sir Conan Doyle created Sherlock Holmes, but that's because even then, when the TV and video were new, he had a video talking about it. He came out and he let people know that he is the author. He was the face of, this is the creator of Sherlock Holmes. You see, and that is why till today, most people know that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle is the creator of Sherlock Holmes. You see, even though this is somebody that lived in a day when the camera was just being invented. Video camera was just being invented in his day. That was centuries ago. But you see, because of that, he's known. But guess what? There were a lot of authors who wrote during his time. There were a lot of people, and let us understand that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was actually a doctor. That was what he really did. His profession was a doctor. He wrote as a side thing. He wrote on the side. He was actually a medical doctor. But you see, he has outlasted, his name has outlived a lot of people who were actually professional authors, who actually wrote for a profession in his generation. Why? Because those people, they only put their name on what they wrote, but they did not promote themselves as a brand. People did not see them. People did not know who they were. People did not know who they look like, and people did not associate what they created with the author. People did not associate the books that they wrote with them. You see, and that is something that you must understand. You are actually more important than what you create. You see, because you are going to create more, and it is your name that is going to sell what you create. Let us give an example, and this is why, if you observe certain clever people, they put their name on what they create, because it is their name that sells it. Look at Walt Disney. A lot of people made movies. You see, but Walt Disney put his name on his movies as the first thing. Walt Disney's Tarzan, Walt Disney's Bimbo, Walt Disney's Cinderella. He put his name there at the top, which is something that a lot of others did not do. There were a lot of movie producers a lot of people in Hollywood before Walt Disney. But you see the power of him putting his name there. And what he did is that he sold the power of his name and his creation along with what he's created. So when people see his creation, when people see his name on something new, they know that it is this person, and people associate what he created with him. That is why we hear terms like Steven Spielberg movies. That is what Steven Spielberg did with his movies. Even though he's not as powerful, or he does not have he has not produced as much as what the Walt Disney name has produced, but you can see that when something is a Steven Spielberg movie, that is how it's referred to. This is a Steven Spielberg movie. It is his name that is selling his movie. But there are a lot of people who have made movies that have sold more than Steven Spielberg, but they are still having problems selling new screenplays in Hollywood. Why? Because it's not their name that is selling the screenplays, and people do not associate their creations with their name. So this is important for you to know, that as a writer, as an author, the most important thing you are selling is you, not what you create. If you are creating Spider-Man, or you are creating your own unique comics, your own unique stories, your own unique fiction books, what you are really selling is your creation. This was created by this person. You've heard of Peter Jackson's movies, and a lot of people do that. When people do that now, they put themselves in a position where your name as a movie producer, or as a film director, your name on the movie is selling the movie. Then you do not need to have too many superstars in your movie that will charge high prices. Then you don't need to worry much about your movie selling. You don't need to worry about people rejecting your screenplays when you submit them to different studios in Hollywood and things of that nature, because you have put power within your name as a creator. And that is something that is also an insurance. You see, there was a time that President Trump, when he was still a businessman, he was just Trump, he was in some financial difficulty, an interesting amount of financial difficulty. But you see, his name was what he was selling. Trump Tower, Trump this, Trump golf course, Trump that, Trump this. So the banks looked at him and decided to help him out. They gave him a loan at that point, because you see, there was no way of separating him, the person, from his brand. So it was, whether it was intentionally done that way or not, you see, he was a part of his brand. You cannot destroy Donald Trump and take the Donald Trump company away from him. You understand? But let us look at a lot of banks that do not have certain people's names on it. Let us look at a bank like Standard Chartered Bank, you see, or any company, does not matter, any company that does not have an association with the individual on it. A lot of companies have come and gone, and they were not given that saving loan that could have saved them when they went bankrupt. And what happened was that somebody else took over that company. And that is how ownership of a lot of companies have changed hands from one family to another family, or from one name to another, from one person to another. Because it went bankrupt, or it went into a great financial difficulty, and the person who came in to save it was able to save it with their money and just eject whoever was there before. But when you have a company or a brand like, for example, Virgin, when you think about the Virgin brand, Richard Branson enters your head. You see, he has associated his name and his person with his brand. Let us say that Richard Branson goes into debt and into trouble with the Virgin company. Let us say that it was but like back in the early days, let us say that it went into difficulty. If you are coming in as an investor to buy up the company and to save the company from debt, you will not want to shift out Richard Branson because he's too integral to the image of the company. People think of him when they think about the company. So you can see the power of association, the power of letting your creation and you be meshed together in a way that when people see your creation, they think of you. You see? So that has actually, like in the case of President Trump, it saved him a lot back then. That branding, because there's no way that you can buy up all of President Trump's business. Like, let us say back then when he was in financial difficulty, let's say that the bank bought up all his companies, and as he filed for bankruptcy to settle this thing, and then they took ownership. You see, what about his name? You see the problem. What about his name? It creates too much of a problem. They will still see that this person, even what they may do is that they will decrease the shares of ownership that he has, but you see, he still has something. If that was not the case, if his name was not so, and his personality, because he's the person that you think about. If his personality was not that linked to the company, that will not have happened. Look at a company like Rockefeller. And I'm talking about not the original Rockefeller, the Rockefeller by Jay-Z, Dame Dash, and Biggs. When Rockefeller Records and the company was sold, because its target base associated Rockefeller with Jay-Z, when it was publicly known that Jay-Z was no longer a part of Rockefeller, what happened to the Rockefeller? Nobody knows about it. Nobody hears about it. Nobody cares, because you see, people shifted to what Jay-Z was doing now. He carried his fan base with him. People were patronizing Rockefeller because of Jay-Z. So when Jay-Z sold the company and made it publicly known that he's no longer a part of the company, what happened to Rockefeller today? Who knows? All the audience shifted and went to the new company that Jay-Z started, the Shankata line and all the Tidal and all the new things that he's doing. So you can see the power of when you are what people think about when they see your creation. When you actually sell yourself more than the creation, you see, and where they see that your stamp on your creation. That is something that is very important, and you should have as an author on your books. You know that it is not about the beautiful stories that you tell. It is more about you, the author, that you are selling. And this is something that's not just literally agents, those who are in the industry, who are in the publishing industry should know. But this is something that should come to the mind of even a child. You see, when a child reads a book like Famous Five or The Three Gully Walks or books of that, those kind of books, what goes through that child mind is Ed Blyton. You see, the child associates the author with the creation. You see, Ed Blyton novels and books for children, you see, they are something that the child is aware of. But you can see there are a lot of people who write children's books, who children do not even know the name of the author. They do not care about the person of the author. And you as a writer, you should understand this. They should care about you. They should know you. There's a lot of power in that. Look at the Harry Potter series. When people think of the Harry Potter series, they associate it with the creator of the Harry Potter series. They associate the books with her. You see, and that is why she is a billionaire, and her books and all of that has created so much, because the power behind what she's creating highlights or points to her. So that is something that is very important, and you should be conscious of as you write and you create. You must be visible, constantly visible, and your creations should be a glorification of you. In other words, they should bring glory to you. You see, Proverbs chapter 4 verse 8 says, but the path of the just is as a shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day. Matthew 5:16 says, let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Your novels, your books should be good works, and they should point people to you, and as you point people to Christ, you see. So the book in itself, the work in itself should also point to Christ. But you see, your name, your brand, your image upon it should be closely linked to, it should be intermingled. Your image, your brand, your presence, your personality should be on your books and on your creations. It should be something that the basic reader should associate with you. When people think of your books, they should think of you. Even if it is a sci-fi fantasy book or a book about escaping zombies or whatever, they should think of you, the author. You see, you should make that happen. You should create yourself in that way, like in all the examples I've given, and that is actually how to create your own brand as an author. For more information on this, you have to go to pastoralfred.com and subscribe. There you will get more broadcasts like this and a lot of broadcasts on a variety of different topics. Once again, thank you and God bless you.